Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to be talking about flock and the different types of flock. I have a project that I'm working on, the Quattro Raw project, and I'm going through a lot of different flock, trying to find out what the best flock is for me and which one I like the best for my models, my terrain, the miniatures, the trees, everything, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do like a comparison. This is a comparison video on different types and flock that I just received, but it's also kind of an experiment for me to see which flocks I like better. All right, so I've got some tubs of flock laid out in front of me, and I've got some tree armatures here that I've based, and I put the grit on the bases. So this is going to be a test of coverage. It's going to be a test of color and consistency and adherence and all of that. So what I wanted to do was use a test bed, if you would, a what do they call that? The baseline is going to be all exactly the same. So all of these bases were painted brown, and they were and the grit was applied. So now we're going to go through and do each tree with each type of flock, and I will show you the flock as we go so that you'll get an idea of what it is. Okay, now this is an old Faller model railroading flock, but you can see it has red, light yellow, dark green, a little bit of every color in there. It's like a multicolored, and it's kind of a sawdust. It's not sticky or anything like that. All right, so let's take this tree that I did a couple of nights ago, and we're gonna use this base as my. Now I'm using the Elmer's, just slightly watered down, not heavily. I'm going to 100% cover the base with the glue because I want a consistent results. Now I've thought about just doing like what I do on sometimes some of my figures. I'll put like the white glue in patches and splotches to give it like a 3D or realistic effect. But in this case, what we're doing is I'm also looking for coverage. That's one of the main reasons why I didn't paint the bases green, and I left them brown, and I'm doing 100% coverage with the glue. It's because I want to see which flocks actually cover the best. Alright, so that's that. And then we sprinkle our flock on. Remember, 100%. 100%, 100%. Now I'm just going to set the tree down in the base, or in the tub, because I'm not going to shake anything off just yet. Alright, now our next color is the Woodland Scenics Blended Turf. This is their foamy, and this kind of gets kind of sticky. See how that sticks to my hand? Yeah, and then you got all this little fuzz, this little powder that's still on my hand. I'm gonna have to clean my hands later. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but it's like all over my hands. Let's go ahead and do that one. And I'm trying to get away from the Woodland Scenics, but I am willing to stay with Woodland Scenics if and only if it has the best look. Don't forget, it's got to look good too. It can't just be easy to use. It has to look good. Looks are important. If you're building a model, looks are 50% of what scale and size and all that, but looks is important. Okay, so but if it looks good, then I'll stick with and Woodland Scenics is also inexpensive and easy to find anywhere at any hobby store. So there is that. Okay, I am 100% covered. We're going to sprinkle. Okay, and then I'm just going to set it down in the tub. Put the tub off to the side. Alright, so the next package is, actually I do believe it's a knock flock. It is scatter, but they call it grass spring meadow. But to me, it's not scatter. Scatter tends to be the big chunks. This is more like a static grass. And I'm not a big fan of static grass. I'm going to tell you that. I do not like static grass. You can see how. But if this is this is not bad. This is not bad. This is very, because I feel like static grass tends to clump up quite a bit, and I can feel it right now. I got balls of static grass in my hand. It's one thing I don't want. And of course, it's because it's static, it sticks to your hand. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. Okay, now before I move on to the next color, I did want to say that, I don't know if you can see this, but there is light yellow and kind of a red. It is a spring meadow, a lot like that very first one, except it's staticky. It's static grass. All right, the next one we're going to work with is faller. This one is called spring green, and it is a scatter material. Now spring green, okay, you can't see through that, can you? Spring green, you can see that that's like a really bright green. This is brighter than that. But this is kind of, I don't know, it's just a different green look to it. And it is a flaky flock, like little chips of wood. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. I guess I could have showed you after I opened it up, but okay. See how bright green that is? I don't know, that might be effective. Let's check it out. Alright guys, the next one we're going to do is the Bush micro scatter material, micro flocage. Yeah, made in Germany. Yeah, this Bush micro scatter, that looks, just initially it looks really good. It's a sawdust, but it's like very fine. I like the color. So far, we're going to have to see it on the model. Let me go ahead and get it glued, and then I'll be right back. All right, now I'm sprinkling the flock, and I just wanted to say that it's not blowing around. There's not a lot of powder. It doesn't stick to my fingers. Okay, let's put that one in there. Put that off to the side. Alright, now this is the last one I want to try today. I have a number of other flocks like burnt grass and some other colors that I already know are not really going to be the ones that I'm going with. So this one is also bush, also scatter material, and it's also the same color, the spring green, but it's not micro. It's the full size. So what you see is kind of a bigger chunks, a lot like that size, just a different color. All right, let me go ahead and flock it up. I'll be right back. All right, we're going to sprinkle the flock on here. Now, I think the bigger chunks will look better as ground scatter in a forest or in any kind of wooded area, where the smaller flock, the smaller chunks, would probably look better on troops, bases and things like that. But we're going to let these dry for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to come back and shake them off, and we'll take a look at them and see what they look like. Now, there's something that I want to ask you guys. At the end of the video, I want you to tell me which one you like best. Which flock did you think looks best on in your opinion, so that I could kind of judge what other people think, not just myself. I really appreciate your comments. Please do that, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and shake off each of the trees. What I normally do is I use a really soft bristle brush here. This is from Art Color. It's a 3/4 inch brush. And what I do is I take my bases, any base that I work with, and I usually tap the bottom just to let the flock fall off. And then I use the soft brush here to brush off anything that might be sticking, or not. I mean, that might be sticking to something it shouldn't be sticking to. Okay, when I get all these shook off, when I get them all shook off, I'll be right back. All right, guys, we've shaken them off. We're going to take a look at them. Just looking at them from the range of the camera onto the table here, these all look pretty good. To be honest, they have really good coverage. I don't see any gaps in any of the flocking or anything like that. I think they have really good coverage, which that's really good. That static grass, it's a fine static grass. I might actually like that static grass. That static grass is pretty nice looking, but I do remember it sticks to the fingers. That is blended turf. That's extremely dark compared to these others, right? That's like dark, super bright green, and then the rest of these I do like. I think I like these colors the best. That is just too coarse. I can tell you that's just way too coarse for a model, right? I don't know if that's in focus or not, but I think that's too coarse. Actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, there's gaps. I can see the grit underneath starting to shine through, and I think that's just because it is so big, it doesn't fill all the gaps. Okay, but that's okay. I don't mind the grit shining through, but what if I've got a model that doesn't have grit shining through, or what if I've got a model that's not painted brown or green, you know? Okay, so that one's definitely a no-go. Okay, coming up with this one. Really good coverage. Really, it lays flat. It looks kind of good. It almost doesn't look right. It's the right color, but it looks like mowed grass actually, and that's not always good, but I do like it. Also very coarse. Also, I can see gaps in the grit. I mean, I can see the grit between it. I think that's because it's coarse. I might use that as like a highlight color or something. Okay, bringing this up. Really good coverage. Really good. Okay, there's a couple of little gaps, but super. Yeah, there's some shine through. I'm seeing brown through that. But yeah, but it looks a little bit more. Okay, so far that's the best coverage. Looks like there's a little. It looks more like. It looks like mowed grass too. These two are very comparable, almost the same. This is total coverage, and it's dark as hell. It's super dark. I think it's too dark. I might use that for my hedges. And then the tree, just trying to ignore the tree itself, I think there's too much red in it. That's my issue. I think there's too many red flecks. Might be good under an autumn or a fall colors, something like that, but it's not for my wargaming bases. Okay, so my conclusion is I like these two. The knock, I guess it's static grass. They call it scatter grass spring meadow, but I still think it's static. And then the Bosch micro scatter. Yeah, for the price, I think the micro scatter is more cost effective. Yeah, because you only get 20 grams of this. I guess it's about the same. I think you get 30 or 40 grams of that. Yeah, you get 40 grams. You get 30 grams of that. You get 40 of that and 80 of that. So for 40 grams, only being a couple of bucks, that's the way to go. That one right there. It's light color, and it's got good coverage. It looks like grass. It doesn't stick to your hands. I think we got a winner. I'm going to go and say that number one, Bosch micro scatter. I'm going to have to get a big tub of that. Alright guys, thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and I'll see you next time.